Assalamu alaikum and welcome and a good evening to everyone. My name is Tariq, you might be wondering who I am. My name is Tariq Khan and it's a pleasure to be in the heart of the community, and I'm sitting here at the Alum Rock Community Forum offices. It's a pleasure to be here. It's my first time actually that I've been here, and it's the 31st of December. We're only some hours away from the new year. My God, thank God for that, because I tell you what, we've had a massive, challenging year. Unprecedented year, I think, in our lifetime, and I hope that we don't have this kind of year ever again in our lifetime, and that we go on to more hopeful things in our life. And today, I've got the pleasure of being with someone that I know really well, and you will know too, who actually comes on different platforms and from different perspectives, and he's the one and only Mr. Mohammed Ali. Mr. Ali, welcome.
Thank you.
And you know what, it feels so strange being in opposite directions here. Normally it's Mr. Ali that's interviewing everyone in the community, in the heart of the community. So it's a pleasure for me to interview my good friend Ali today. And we thought it would be a great idea in terms of getting Ali's perspective. Normally Ali gets everyone else's perspectives. So, we thought, 2020, as I just said, unprecedented times we're living in, and it'd be great to get Ali's perspective as to how he thinks that the year's gone. So Ali, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's good to see you again.
Likewise.
And I was going to say, to start off with, what I wanted to check with Ali is that, we had a very positive start to the year. Yeah, I mean, 2020, 1st of January came in, wow, 2020. Everyone was so excited about it. Did we know what was ahead? No. So before COVID, Ali, what were some of the main issues, the big ticket items that you came across? Obviously you've been engaged with so many people. You're a prominent figure in the community. You do so much for the community, and you're just engaged. You have so many different partnerships with different people, whether it's from the business community, whether it's from the political side, every aspect that you come across, every type of person that you come across. So what were some of the bigger things in January to March?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you, Tariq, for giving me the opportunity. And I will say this year has been completely unlike any other.
Yeah.
And we started the year off with great hope, with great aspiration, with a lot of people thinking this is going to be the year when they are going to make some real changes into their lives, whether it's about the environment, whether it's about bettering themselves, about mental health, their physical well-being, and also making sure that their business, their companies, the values were really going to be put at the forefront as well. Yeah. So again, but unfortunately, all that has been swept to one side as well. We've had enormous amount of people dying and being affected by COVID. We've had also with politics as well, real division, real people being either side of the spectrum of politics as well. We've had a lot of change with Donald Trump leaving as well.
Thank God.
Yeah.
I shouldn't really say that.
But at the same time, there's also real demonstration of compassion and human beings putting the interest of others at the forefront, and even better than their own lives as well. So just to start off the year,
if I may ask you, what were some of your hopes and aspirations when we started the year?
So my own hopes were, personally, I wanted there to be a real concentration. I know crime was a big thing for me. I wanted to sort of make sure that we work with the police crime commissioner, with the local police, and really put the fear of crime to one side. We had a lot of gangs, young people were getting involved in unnecessary arguments, getting into crime, carrying knives, and I'm not fearful of actually using knives as well. I wanted to sort of really tackle that, especially with the work that I do with Alum Rock Community Forum and Jabs. There were a lot of plans. Unfortunately, they were being put to one side. The other thing that I also wanted to sort of do this year was show that areas like inner city Birmingham, there's a lot of talent there, and show leadership within these sort of areas, and give people a hope and aspiration that you don't have to settle for second best. That was some of my personal goals I wanted to do.
And how do you feel that your journey, for example, with Jabs 8 and all the other work that you do in the community with the youngsters, how's that evolved so far?
I must say the young people that I've been working with, they've been really hit hard, I must say that. Their education has been disrupted. At that age when your hormones are all over the place, you know, to have this thrusted upon them as well, you know, it's really completely gives them 180 degrees U-turn of what they were going to be experiencing. Their normal routine, their family, friends, they've also suffered bereavement as well. Their education system has not been what it was. Their resource system, their hopes and aspirations of going to university and college was also disrupted as well. And also they weren't able to go into gyms and engage in sports. That really hit the young people. And then also they were blamed in the second half of the year for being super spreaders. They were responsible for the second spike, and I said that was really unjust on them.
I mean, just going back a bit, obviously that's a really good analysis, review of that January to March period. So before COVID, and it's interesting because the thing is, we heard about this virus spreading. I think it was in November 2019.
Yeah, that's right.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's right. November 2019. You know, when we heard about China, etc. You know, some of the countries experiencing it in the Far East, and we didn't take any notice. I think, if I can say, I was ignorant to it. I was totally ignorant, and I still remember myself in February that, you know what, I wasn't feeling well myself, and I might have had experienced the symptoms at the time. And the things, but even then, I saw friends, family around me, we were coughing, spurting, you know, thought it was like a normal cold. I mean, the thing is, what did you think at that time? I mean, where was your state of mind? Because we hadn't, Boris Johnson or the government hadn't come in and said, oh, we're going to lockdown. This was now, we're looking at January, starting from November, December 2019 into January, February. Did you see things like that happening?
Yeah, so as you know, someone who's got a pulse on the international news as well as the local news. So I heard of cases in the Far East. And I put it down to, you know, you had the SARS virus before, that this is something that's going to happen for 2 or 3 months. And, you know, some of the countries like Singapore, China, Japan, you know, they are autocratic as well. They're able to, you know, lock down the whole country. And it'll be confined to the Far East, and it's not a problem, especially when you had international travel and there was no restrictions on those travel. It wasn't anything that really worried me at that stage, and you know, like I said, my circle of friends was quite huge, and when I was talking to a few people about what was happening, and they were saying, look, I've got the same sort of symptoms, and at even that stage I thought, it's because it's November, December, January, it may be a seasonal flu. I wasn't overly worried at that stage. When around January, when I wanted to do a show around this, I spoke to a few friends, and I actually advertised, and anyone showing the following symptoms of, you know, raised temperature, developing a new cough, feeling a bit fatigued, and you know, feeling short of breath as well. A small number of people put their hands up and said, look, we don't know whether it's COVID or not, but we've sort of had those symptoms. And I had 2 or 3 people coming to my show. One was Shazad, the other one was Abid Khan, Mr. Chutney. A few people, and there's another female friend of mine as well. They all put so there's about 3 or 4 saying the same thing. That's when my alarm bell started ringing. I thought, okay, this seems to be too common. But again,
and then you also had the thing around loss of taste, loss of smell, and the thing is, even I experienced that really early on in the year, and you know, and I thought, oh my God, what is this? I've never experienced this. And then people around me were experiencing it, but obviously at that time we weren't the wiser. The things we thought, okay, it may be just part, it's a one-off. But as we went along, I learned more about this. Now going into March, obviously, Mr. Ali, on the journey here now, in terms of that announcement coming from Boris Johnson. So what was your view on that?
So initially, you know, I think one of the reasons why I personally wasn't worried was because the government was so lax.
Yes, it was.
They were just taking it easy, and I thought maybe we're sort of blowing it out of all proportion. And even, as you know, Europe was going on lockdown. People were still coming into the UK from countries that had lockdown and huge cases of coronavirus.
So do you think we should have taken measures before?
I think so. It goes without saying. You know, hindsight's a wonderful thing.
So what we're saying is the government wasn't proactive. That's what we're
absolutely.
saying.
They were very slow to announce the lockdown, and there was huge sporting events that took part in March. That shouldn't have been, because you know at that stage there was talks of lockdown, but you know because Italy, Spain, these countries were.
Well, I still remember the match Liverpool played against.
That's right, one of the big teams there.
Atletico Madrid at Anfield. That was one of the last matches, and Leicester versus Aston Villa. I remember those two matches were the last.
And you know what? The Spanish commentators were saying that Spain is under lockdown, and England are still allowing our supporters from Spain into the UK.
And it was at Anfield that night.
That's right. Yeah. So that's why. So when on obviously 23rd of March, the national something that I didn't think was going to happen ever in my lifetime happened, where a national lockdown was announced, and overnight everything was shut. And you know there was an eerie moment. We both know how busy Soho Road, Ladypool Road, Allen Rock Road was. And during those, someone did a, Javed from Allen Rock Community Forum actually did a live from Allen Rock. And you know what? I thought there would be some people compliant with the lockdown, some people won't.
Yeah.
Allen Rock was like a ghost town. It was like a ghost street.
It was.
Literally no one there. All the shops were
actually, it was a shock to the system, total shock to the system, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What is happening here?
Absolutely.
And it wasn't just us.
Yeah.
It was the whole world that was affected.
Absolutely.
In this, the whole world.
Yeah.
Every human being on this earth was affected. Would you say that?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what I was saying, even before lockdown, I think I may have been caught, slightly naive in the sense that one of my colleagues this was on the Friday, and he phoned me and he goes, "Oh, are you, going to buy any last minute groceries and stuff?" I said, "No, I'll do my shop tomorrow. Normally I do on a Saturday, and that's fine." He goes, "Well, everyone else is doing it. Picking on the toilet roll, they're sort of stocking up all sorts of atta, the rice and everything."
Yeah, the toilet roll, pasta and the rice.
Yeah. And I thought...
I still don't know the connection between toilet roll
No, I don't.
Unless one of our viewers can tell us. I still don't know, even on the 31st of December, 9-10 months later, that what is the connection between toilet rolls and COVID? Anyway.
No. And you know what, when I put the phone down, I thought, am I being a bit naive here? And I did go to my local supermarket, just stocked up on a few things, just in case. And that's when I realised the shelves were completely empty.
Yeah.
The panic within the community was rife. People were just really
fighting over things, wasn't it?
Over total road.
It's incredible what we were seeing.
And what was also very dispiriting at that stage was some of the shopkeepers as well and the wholesalers had overnight, inflated their prices and really rocketed their prices. And I thought, this is not the time to be profiteering. And for those that are regular shopkeepers, if you are going to do that, they will find another shopkeeper or another shop to sort of buy their regular weekly shop as well. So I mean, the prime example was Jude's supermarket. They had quadrupled the price of their cough medicine or their baby medicine as well, and that was very unfortunate. And they rectified it in the end. So that's just so. And at that time also, Tariq, with the increase of people getting COVID, both in terms of symptoms but also dying, there was this rumour saying that if the bodies are stockpiling, cremation was going to be a real option. And as Muslims, that is something obviously we don't believe in. We believe in the right for burial. And a lot of pressure, mosques, our religious leaders, the community leaders all got together, and we told the government, our local council, that cremation is not something that we're going to allow, and make plans and make sure that we have allowance, and whether it's in the mosque, in the mortuary, or in the graveyards,
I mean, to that point, absolutely spot on. A great analysis there again. The thing is, but it was so unfortunate on social media. I mean, the thing is, when we were going back our normal duties before lockdown, the thing is, okay, once or twice a day, I used to look at social media, Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever. I could not believe when we were locked in at home. And the thing is, all we were doing go for our respective walks within the legislation, the guidance. The thing is, everyone was on social media, and it was nothing but bad news. We were watching the news, bad news, there, bad news. And the state of mind everyone was in a different state of mind.
That's right.
I mean, Ali, what's your view? And all the, there was a lot of people with a lot of health problems too.
Absolutely.
People with long-term conditions, a lot of elderly, a lot of vulnerable people out there. And the thing is, people already experiencing that. With the lockdown coming, I mean, what have you seen in the last 19
We're not used to having our freedoms curtailed. Not living in living in a Western society. We enjoy. We value our freedoms. Being able to 11 o'clock in the midnight, you can go to your local supermarket, order a takeaway. Go to see your family and friends. Overnight, everything just stopped existing. There was a new normal, and it took a period of time to adjust. And this is where humankind is a powerful force. We're able to adjust for a short period of time, and at that time there was a real understanding of the reasons why we were doing it. We were protecting the NHS, we were saving lives, especially someone from a BME community. I didn't want to be held responsible for one of my elders from a BME community with underlying health conditions, catching COVID or suffering anything debilitating as a result of myself. So I was very compliant as a result, and I was telling all my network to comply. Look after the NHS, look after your elderly loved ones, look after anyone that was in that high risk group. And at that point, sorry to interrupt. At that moment, in terms of when I'm thinking about the elderly, the vulnerable. Imagine what they're going through. Absolutely.
The things I couldn't imagine it.
No.
The things, thank God, we've still got decent health, reasonable health. But those in the elderly care homes, those that you can't even see anymore. We used to visit our parents. Those are in sheltered homes, for example, or and like I said, care homes. What were your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. These are and human beings are very tactile. We are social beings. We want our family and friends to be with us. And some of the elderly parents, especially with the language barriers, they weren't able to understand why. It is almost like why me, why the Asians, why the Muslims, why the elderly in the residential community.
So even they had to understand the situation.
Absolutely.
We had to get them to understand the situation. It was very difficult.
And this is where I think using my various platforms, we got that communication through to the people. So look, there's going to be short-term difficulties, but long term, you'll be able to, hopefully this year we'll be able to celebrate Eid together now. We'll be able to pray together in mosques and gurdwaras and churches as well. We'll be able to, meet as family, but, put your short-term interest to one side. And I know it's difficult, but let's look at the long-term picture. And people were understanding, but I tell you what made a real difference, because to date, we've had over 91,000 people that have died from COVID so far. These are only hospital statistics. We haven't included those from nursing or residential or old people's homes as well. So that could be into 6 figures plus. We've had over 2 million people who are positive from COVID as well. But I tell you, overnight, one person that did enormous damage was Dom Cummings.
I was going to come to him actually.
Were you? He, when he thought in his great wisdom to go from London all the way to Cumbria, I think it was, because one of his, I think it was his wife that was showing symptoms of COVID. Everyone thought one rule for us, one rule for the elite, for the political elite. And that's when people started questioning everything, started to not be as compliant, and all of a sudden...
Well, that didn't help the situation. I mean, our viewers will, obviously, the majority will have their own opinions, but the thing is, the majority view that we were seeing on the news, social media, was that he should have been dismissed straight away.
Absolutely.
And but he wasn't, was he?
No. Absolutely. And
that's all about leadership again, leading by example. Do you think Boris should have done better in that situation?
Absolutely. And I think Boris, we know he also got COVID in April as well, which we're just going to come to as well. But I don't think he made the right call on that. And as a result, his tenure since then has been very precarious. So, if he was bold, if he was courageous, showed leadership, I think we wouldn't be in this situation.
I think, when you look at the 4 or 5 ministers in the cabinet, Boris Johnson, Matt Hancock,
Yes.
Dominic Cummings was there, he's gone now. And then you got Michael Gove, you got Rishi Sunak. And the thing is, out of all of them, who do you think's come out the better one?
For me,
Yeah, I mean, they've all been criticised in their own way. And I think Rishi Sunak seems to be the standout out of the 4 or 5 of them. Yes, he's had his drawbacks recently too. But what do you think? Has he been the best out of the lot? Or?
Yeah, I think so. At that stage, when people were worried about their livelihoods,
yeah.
you can't have a lockdown. You can't have people staying at home if they're worried about their bills, if they're worried about their house being repossessed. So at that time, he gave a financial package which so far has cost the country over £100 billion through the furlough scheme.
And who's going to pay for that?
Absolutely, it's going to be us.
Taxpayers.
Absolutely,
yeah.
but what I would say at that stage,
still need it, don't we?
absolutely,
Going into the new year,
to be able to offer 80% to companies to furlough their employees, for the self-employed to be able to close their businesses, to be able to afford 80% of their income, I think was a huge gesture. Not only that, he increased the universal credit, he prevented people from, kicking people out of their rented accommodation as well. He also allowed people to defer on their tax and their VAT payment, and this was a big help.
What do you think of the Eat Out to Help Out scheme? What's your view on that?
Again, for me,
I know we're up against time, but I just want to know what you.
Yeah, no, I'm going to come on to that. That came in August as well, and this is when lockdown was eased.
Yeah.
We were talking about still, staying at home, going out essential journeys.
Yeah.
For at that stage, Rishi Sunak, I think, made an own goal. I understand why. I understand the principle.
Yeah.
But the fact that you had mass, population going out. And there was no social distancing in those restaurants. People were, even when they were queuing outside, I went past one restaurant and he was coming down.
Wasn't it?
It was coming down with rain, and people were next to each other. And I thought, where is the social? This is going to come back.
If this is a situation outside, what is the situation inside in some of the restaurants? And we know that the city council enforcement officers also took action on that, and even the police were involved in that.
That's right.
And those restaurants were fine, weren't they?
No, absolutely. The restaurants were fine. Some of the shisha lounges, the bars.
So rightly so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they should have put measures in place for that. Right. Yeah, so Rishi Sunak, Ali says, scored an own goal from that, and we know that he was trying to do it for the right reasons. But I think some people out there in society did not help themselves, and also the restaurants. Some of those guys were there to blame. But moving on, because I'm thinking about time.
If I could touch on that, and what we also did find out was those areas that had the highest people taking advantage of the Eat Out Help Out had the highest cases of COVID. There was a direct correlation between the two.
But unfortunately, the inner city scene. A lot of those cases, right? We have where we're sitting now in our home areas. The thing is, unfortunate that there's been high numbers as
absolutely.
Yeah, but let's hope with time that they decrease. But Ali, moving on now, vaccines. Yeah, I mean, not mentioning any vaccines or anything, but the things. What's your view? How are we looking to go into 2021, knowing that there's vaccines now? There's one that's emerged, there's a couple of others that are emerging, and I was listening to the news today, there's another one that's coming through over the next couple of days.
Yeah.
What's your take on that?
So we know that in America, 2 have already been licensed. The one that's been pioneered by the 2 Turkish husband and wife team, marketed obviously and owned by Pfizer, and the other one is Moderna. So for me,
and then you've got the AstraZeneca,
that's
Oxford,
right. Oxford, yeah, absolutely.
In the next couple of days.
What I would say is it's a real ray of hope, just what we needed at the end of the year, and now we've already seen that over 100,000 people have got the vaccines across the world as well, and it was much needed as well because the efficacy rate is 95%. There are some logistical issues in terms of transportation, but the NHS and the government have put plans in place, and so those high risk and the strategy is right. Go for the NHS key workers and those high risk category group. Prioritize those first, and then start whipping you down to people that are lower risk.
And coming on to the lower risk, you know, we hear a lot of rumours, a lot of gossiping out there on social media that, you know, there's people that are negative against the vaccines. What's your take on that? What's your view on that? And what message would you give to those people?
And what I would say is, I find that very disingenuous. I find that very dangerous as well, because we know that the BME community are adversely affected by this. Because I'm going to touch on that a bit more. But, you know, there's a lot of people that are, you know, going out there and sending loose comments without any research and you know, any data, and are now accusing these large pharma companies,
well, even the
and governments, and, you know, scientists and GPs, you know, including everyone in there, that they are part of that conspiracy theory as well. And for me, I think that is you know, a dereliction of their civic duty. Because if I know that if I was over 60, slightly obese, had underlying conditions, I would have absolute no hesitation in volunteering myself to be top of that queue.
Well, we've seen some of the elderly patients, the first patients that came through, you know, that were having injections worldwide. I mean, their faces have been shown, and the thing is, elderly lady that was 90 plus, and she was really comfortable. Thank God she's absolutely fine.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you've had a couple of cases where there's going to be some side effects, but you're going to get that with every kind of medicine, aren't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so, you know, so the message is, we need to be positive, we need to be united in this. And let's not spread malicious rumours.
No,
that's what we're saying, aren't we?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because, you know, we need to be in it together. And, you know, in terms of being successful, they say, you know, herd community, you know, at least 80% of us, you know, need that, don't we?
No, most definitely. And also, you know, it's very irresponsible. We all have a responsibility, because my action may have a detrimental effect on you. And by and large, I mean, we are only talking about a small minority.
Yes.
People have been very good with washing hands regularly, sanitizing their hands, keeping a 2-meter distance, wearing a face mask as well, especially when they're going out in a public outing as well. So I think I must applaud the whole country, really. Each of you that have sacrificed your own freedoms, you know, doing something different for the sake of your neighbours, for the sake of your elderly citizens and the wider community. I think this is what humanity is all about. The point that I did touch on about, you know, there was a couple of investigations by the government and then also by the Labour Party in terms of why the BME community, the Asians, the Pakistanis, the Bengalis, the Afro-Caribbean, are more disproportionately affected by COVID. So we tend to die about 2.5, 3 times more than our white counterparts. And there was a number of reasons that these are things that the Department of Health, the CCGs, the council have to take on and address some of those health inequalities. We know that the Asian community disproportionately is affected by diabetes and through cholesterol. We live in more overcrowded houses as well.
A lot of deprivation too.
Poverty is a big thing. Our education is on a lower scale as well, and also a lot less investment has gone into areas where there's a high number of BME community. We know that now. So once we've got a good stranglehold on COVID, I urge the cabinet members, the hospitals, the CCGs, the Department of Health, the health boards, to really address those inequalities.
Absolutely. So moving on, and I know we're nearly there now, time is nearly up, and it's been great so far. Your hopes, your aspirations, we've touched on a lot of things here today. What are your hopes and aspirations going into 2021? Bearing in mind, the vaccines are here. Bearing in mind, we've had a tough, challenging year. Bearing in mind, there could be another national lockdown. So, where do you?
So for me, I think it's important that we continue to take ownership of our responsibilities. So for me, I think, you know, one of the key things about COVID has shown those people that have got relatively good health, are not obese, are not diabetic, are doing exercise and going outside for fresh air, will tend to be more resolute and tend to do better if they do get COVID in the first place. So I think that's important. So my urge is to everyone, you know, make some time for your physical and mental well-being.
Yes, absolutely. Totally agree with you.
Absolutely.
It's all about your state of mind.
Absolutely.
You know, and you know, trying to be positive, as you said. You know, trying to get that physical, improving your physical health, eating the right things.
That's right.
And I think that's all you can do. So, but
Absolutely.
Mr. Ali, I'm getting a time indicator from over there. So the thing is, I just want to say on a final note that basically it's been a real pleasure talking to you.
Yeah.
That's been a great review, analysis. And any final messages?
Yes, I have. I want to touch on a couple of things that I've made a mental note of, if I can, because they've been such instrumental movements. One is the Black Lives Matter movement.
Oh yes.
After George Floyd,
yes.
I can't breathe, and that sort of not only spread through like wildfire through America, but he also came here as well. I want to touch on that, and as a result of that, a lot of companies, a lot of organisations, the government have taken a real in-depth look at some of those policies and making sure that the people from the black community, BME community, are treated equally as well. The other one was also around the continual mistreatment of the minorities in India, with the Kisan movement, with the Kashmir as well. So that again has played a big movement. And I want to also get in the census of this year, 2021, where there's a real chance for the Kashmiri community to be identified as a separate community as well. So I want to touch on that. The other one also I want to touch on is it's been a fantastic year for us as Liverpool supporters. After 30 years, we managed to.
I was waiting for that one to come.
So
but at the same point, I remember Mr. Ali interviewing me about three months ago, asking me where Aston Villa would be. And Aston Villa got a game in hand, and they can catch Liverpool now.
That's right.
Yeah, so I thought I just done that.
So yeah, absolutely.
For the Villa fans.
And the other one that I'm going to sort of also touch on is, this is where I will say is, as individuals, we can be a catalyst for change.
Yeah.
Michael Rashford, he has been stupendous.
Absolutely.
He has led sometimes a lone voice in making sure that the young children from a poorer background get a hot meal during holidays. And he has forced Boris Johnson and his government to make a number of U-turns in the summer holidays, the October half term, and also Christmas half term as well. So hats off to
he's been an absolute brilliant role model. You just hit that nail on the head. And another person that's been a role model has been Captain
Tom Wall.
Yeah,
that's
Captain
right,
Tom.
right,
those two stick out for us in 2020. And there's many more, I'm sure.
Absolutely. And also I think it's important that we also talk about the USA elections as well. The person who was a real cause of division. And he was, at one stage he even said that I've got a simple cure for COVID, is to inject yourself or drink some bleach. The whole world was out of madness. And I think the American people...
It's no wonder that the administration has changed now.
Absolutely, and he didn't believe in social distancing or masks as well. I think,
So there's been some positives that have come out of this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, as much as all those unfortunate people that have died, those unfortunate families that have lost their loved ones, few things that's been positive, as Ali just said. We've had a few changes for the right reasons. We've had some role models coming out, supporting the communities. So there's been some positives we can take into 2021, the vaccine emergence, and so there's hope.
Yeah, and also, through adversity, there's also a few real gems. You mentioned Tom Wall, Mark Rashford, but there are also, we don't want to mention any names, but there have been a lot of organisations and individuals who have opened food banks.
Absolutely.
Who were going to hospitals and giving hot food.
Right at the start of the pandemic.
Absolutely.
Can't forget those people.
Giving hot food to the residential nursing homes and to the NHS staff who were working 24/7, to people that were turned some of their factories into manufacturing PPE equipment, and donating PPE equipment. So there was a real human, kindness that came out of real bad moment at that time.
A lot of unity, wasn't there? Sorry, I forgot about that point. I'm glad you mentioned that in the final touch-ups.
Absolutely. So for me, I think I want to nurture. I want to sort of hold on to that, and allow people to rekindle some of those movements. And post-COVID, there's no reason why that can't continue as a result.
There's a lot of learns in this, isn't there? A lot of learns have come out for the right reasons too.
Most definitely. So all in all, I think it has been a very tough year for all of us. We've all really rallied together. We've supported each other through stuff. I know, when I was feeling a bit low, I would reach out to my family and friends over the phone or FaceTime, and get a real G up, and that's what humanity and what your network is all about. And hopefully my aspirations are that COVID will be now on a downward spiral, and the way things are, it may come again through, because viruses, are always evolving.
But we've got to be sensible, like you said, all the things that we've learned, what to do more to become a healthier nation.
That's right.
We just need to stick to those basics. Well,
no, that's fine. So
brilliant.
Thank you for allowing me an opportunity to, reminisce now and think about some of the things that did happen. And my final farewell message is that we have had a lot of people that caught COVID and have survived. We have lost a lot of people, family, friends, we're not going to mention any names because each sibling, each mother and father, grandparent is, dear to all of us, and it has been a tough time. We haven't been able to grieve, we haven't been able to support each other during this COVID, but I know, some people have reached out to the Almighty, some have, gone on to FaceTime and social media to get some support from family and friends. When things hopefully calm down, things go back to normal, we may be able to rally and support each other and help to grieve and mourn. But I just want things to go back to normal.
Absolutely.
And until then, let's continue to maintain social distancing. And if you do qualify for the vaccine, please, I urge you to do that. And I think, maybe things are going to be different. I know Zoom, Teams, these are, there's a new saying now, you're on mute, or sorry, I was on mute.
Yeah.
Some things are changing, but that's,
we live in the digital world now.
That's right. Yeah. So,
absolutely.
I think in that sense, I think, we always change, we always adapt.
And it's good to evolve with times, it's good to adapt and be agile to the situation.
Absolutely.
It makes you better as human beings, So, but no, on that note, Mr. Ali, it's been lovely talking to you, as ever, and it's been nice in the opposite way. And, you shared a lot of your experiences, your thoughts, and thank you for that. And thank you for listening, and have a wonderful 2021 ahead.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.